What's up, fantasy managers? Welcome back to another episode of the First Pitch Podcast brought to you by PitcherList.com. My name is Jake Crumpler, and I'll be your host for this edition of the pod. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler, and you can find all of my work at CrumplerBaseball.com. Let's dive into everything baseball related from Wednesday, July 23rd. We'll start it off, as always, with the transactions, injuries, news, and notes from around the league, kicking things off with the bad news as starting pitcher David Festa was placed on the 15-day IL with shoulder inflammation. It's not been the breakout season that I expected for Festa, and unfortunately, it will be put on pause now as he is dealing with a shoulder injury. In a corresponding move, Travis Adams was recalled from the minors, and he's expected to start on Sunday versus the Nationals. Next, we have second baseman Nick Lofton, who was placed on the 7-day concussion IL. Unfortunate there, but the Royals were prescient to acquire Adam Frazier earlier this season, and he will take over the strong side of a second base platoon for the Royals, with Tyler Tolbert on the short side of that second base platoon. In a corresponding move, outfielder MJ Melendez was recalled from the minors. He opened the season batting .085 batting average with 1 homer and a -6 WRC plus before being demoted. And since being demoted at AAA, Melendez has batted .248 with 13 homers and 14 steals, good for a 91 WRC plus. So nothing exceptional, nowhere near the 40 plus homer season he had in the minors a few years ago. And it looks like Melendez will just be the Royals' fourth outfielder moving forward. And lastly, starting pitcher German Marquez was placed on the 15-day IL with biceps tendonitis. Unfortunate there, but it's hard to be a Rockies pitcher in Colorado anyway, despite dealing with any form of tendonitis. But Marquez will hit the IL, and in a corresponding move, Tanner Gordon was recalled from the minors to start versus the Cardinals on Wednesday, and he was pretty solid. 6 shutout innings in Coors, 4 hits, 3 walks, 3 Ks, 7 whiffs, 28% CSW across 96 pitches. So hats off to Tanner Gordon. In terms of transactions, starting pitcher John Gray, or I guess relief pitcher in this case, was activated from the 60-day IL. He has missed the entire season thus far with a fractured forearm, and in his return, he tossed 2 shutout innings in relief. That's why I changed the designation from starting to relief pitcher. And Gray is unlikely to join the rotation unless someone gets traded. I guess Patrick Corbin is probably somebody that could be dealt from that rotation, but everybody else seems locked in right now. So I wouldn't expect Gray to enter the rotation anytime soon. I guess somebody could get injured. In a corresponding move, relief pitcher Luke Jackson was designated for assignment, so I'd expect him to be traded ahead of the deadline. In terms of guys, speaking of guys that are expected to be traded at the deadline and were designated for assignment, on Wednesday, starting pitcher Eric Fetty was DFA'd by the Cardinals. That means Michael McGreevy will stick in the rotation for the Redbirds, but expect Fetty to be dealt prior to the deadline. Next, we have starting pitcher Troy Melton, the Tigers' number 10 prospect, who was selected from the minors to make his MLB debut on Wednesday in Pittsburgh. He tossed 5 innings, allowing 7 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, and 7 Ks, inducing 14 whiffs with 30% CSW across 90 pitches. He displayed an exceptional fastball that touched almost 100 miles per hour. But as I said yesterday when I suggested streaming Pirates hitters against Melton, it's always tough for a starting pitcher in their MLB debut, and that was the case for Melton, but the stuff is there for him to find success in the future. Next, we have starting pitcher Zach Eflin, who was activated from the 15-day IL after dealing with back discomfort for quite a while. He returned to start in Cleveland, tossing 5 innings, allowing just 2 hits and 2 earned runs while walking 1 and striking out 5. He induced 10 whiffs with 26% CSW across 84 pitches. Great return there for Zach Eflin. And lastly, starting pitcher Taj Bradley was optioned to the minors by the Rays after recording just 5 outs while allowing 4 runs in his start yesterday. It's unclear who will replace Bradley in the rotation, but still a very surprising move by the Rays. And in terms of news, starting pitcher Jason Alexander is expected to be recalled from the minors by the Astros to start today versus the A's. Now we can take a look at our notable performances from Wednesday, a day in which we had a full slate of 15 games. We'll start it off with our hitters, leading off with designated hitter Rafael Devers, who helped the Giants to win in Atlanta. He went 3 for 5 with 2 runs, 2 homers, and 4 runs batted in. He's up to 19 homers now. First one traveled 357 feet at 93 miles per hour. Second one went 410 feet at 102 miles per hour. And Devers has really been a main character of the 2025 season ever since spring training, and his trade to the Giants has only made his name pop up in more headlines. And amid it all, you'd expect him to have trouble staying focused at the plate. And that wasn't the case in Boston, where Devers batted 272 with 15 homers and a 146 WRC plus before his trade. But it's been tough sledding since Devers moved to the West Coast, as he's batted just 227 with 2 dingers and a 97 WRC plus. He doubled his Giants homer total on Wednesday, but Devers is going to need to replicate that performance a few more times to get back to his usual offensive levels. Notably, since moving to San Francisco, he's striking out over 30% of the time and hitting grounders over 50% of the time. He's still hitting the ball hard, and his swing decisions and contact metrics are still where they're supposed to be, and that suggests he shouldn't be fanning as much as he has been. So hopefully this game is a start of a turnaround for Devers, because if he's not playing the field, I know he played first base the other day, but he's mostly DH. If he's not playing the field, he needs to be an elite bat if he's going to make $30 million a year, especially playing for my San Francisco Giants. Next, we have catcher Kyle Teal, who helped the White Sox to win in Tampa Bay, going 4 for 5 with 3 runs, a home run, and 2 runs batted in. It was his first homer of the season and traveled 336 feet at 97 miles per hour. The 14th overall pick in 2023 and the headliner of the Garrett Crochet blockbuster. Teal is half of a tantalizing catching duo on the South Side. Teal splits time with fellow former top prospect Edgar Caro behind the plate, and I'd expect one of the two to claim everyday catching duties in the future, because you can't really have 2 top prospect catchers like this taking time away from each other. And I think once that happens, the other is going to be traded. I think that would open up the opportunity for one of them to be dealt, not this year, but probably in the next coming years. Teal made his case on Wednesday to be the White Sox option moving forward with the first home run of his young career. And he appears to have the leg up over Caro, not just because as a left-handed hitter, he gets the strong side of a platoon. Caro's a switch hitter anyway, but also because Teal's been a far superior defender and has proven to be a better hitter thus far. Strikeouts are likely to become an issue at some point for Teal, but his 12% barrel rate points to real power that should continue to reveal itself throughout the second half. And lastly, we've got first baseman Romy Gonzalez, who helped the Red Sox to win in Philly, going 1 for 4 with a run, a home run, and 4 runs batted in. It was his 6th homer of the year, and it traveled 415 feet at 108 miles per hour. And Gonzalez was always a light-hitting utility man, even with the White Sox and last year with his first year with the Red Sox. But he's looked completely different this year, batting .297 with an .877 OPS and a .130 WRC+. And it's completely deserved, as he has bonkers StatCast metrics, flexing a 17% barrel rate and an unheard of 61% hard hit rate, which actually makes his .373 BABIP somewhat credible. Gonzalez's batted ball metrics alone should make him worth rostering in fantasy just about everywhere. And if the Red Sox make some trades on the offensive end, dealing guys away, I'd be even more confident in backing Gonzalez, because really the only thing holding him back right now is a lack of playing time. Yeah, he does whiff a lot, but the trade-off is incredible because he hits the ball so hard. I am all aboard the Romy Gonzalez trade. But if you'd like a breakdown of other notable hitting performances from Wednesday, check out the Daily Batters Box article over on pitcherlist.com. Now we'll head to the mound and check out some notable starting pitching performances, opening with Nick Lodolo, who helped the Reds to win in Washington, our nation's capital. He tossed 9 shutout innings, allowing just 4 hits while walking nobody and punching out 8, inducing 14 whiffs with 38% CSW across 105 pitches. That 38% CSW led baseball on Wednesday, earning Lodolo the King Cole, and this was the first career complete game of his career, as well as the first shutout of his career. And Lodolo really cooked this one with his secondaries. He was secondary focused in this one, putting his heaters on the back burner as his curveball cooked, inducing 9 whiffs and 45% CSW while returning 7 outs on balls in play. With curves raining down from the sky, Lodolo was able to sneak 4-seamers and sinkers in the zone all day, combining for 17 called strikes and 45% CSW. Against righties, Lodolo's changeup was his most thrown offering, and while it didn't find much success, its precise location, low and arm side, allowed the rest of his arsenal to play up. And honestly, I think we envisioned a Lodolo breakout. I think when we envisioned a Lodolo breakout tongue twister, it didn't really look like this, but we'll take it as he's been great this year with a 3.08 ERA and a 1.04 whip across 122 and 2/3 innings, though I'm hesitant to start Lodolo versus the Dodgers next. Next, we've got Bailey Falter, who upped the Pirates to win against the Tigers, tossing 7 innings, allowing 4 hits and 1 earned run. He walked nobody while striking out 8, inducing 9 whiffs with 32% CSW across 87 pitches. And we're always looking for Falter to locate his heater upstairs because of his elite extension and the great shape he has on that pitch. And while he didn't get them all up in the zone, the intent was there, leading to 5 whiffs and 36% CSW on the pitch. Falter paired it well with a curveball against righties that stole plenty of strikes and a slider against lefties that struggled to clip the edge of the zone to find success, leading him to rely on a sinker that returned 36% CSW and went 4 out of 4 outs on balls in play. I love Falter's stuff, really mostly his fastball. I'd love to see more support there. And what I'd love even more is for a club to take a chance on him at the deadline. And maybe this start entices a few of those clubs, but with 3 more years of club control, I'd expect Falter to still be pitching for the Pirates when he faces the Giants in San Francisco next. And lastly, we've got Quinn Priester, who helped the Brewers to win in Seattle, tossing 7 innings, allowing six hits, 2 earned runs, while walking 2 and striking out 6. He induced 16 whiffs with 33% CSW across 96 pitches, and Priester continues to defy my expectations. Earlier in the season, I suggested his success would wane because of his lack of swing and miss stuff, as well as his reliance on balls in play and the always shaky reliance on sinker called strikes. Well, hasn't really mattered, as Priester followed up 6 shutout frames with 10 punchouts last time against the Dodgers with another great performance on Wednesday. Priester's sinker did its usual thing, stealing 8 called strikes while getting 10 outs on 14 balls in play, but the continued ascension of his slider made the difference again, inducing 6 whiffs with 48% CSW, while his cutter kept him in at bats and his curve quietly earned a trio of whiffs and 56% CSW. It still feels precarious to me, but you can't really argue with the results. I'd say stream at your own risk with the Cubs up next for Priester. But if you'd like a breakdown of every single start from Wednesday, give the Plus Pitch podcast a listen and check out Nick's daily SP roundup over on pitcherlist.com. Now we'll head to the bullpen and check out the relievers that got saves and the closers that pitched outside of save situations or blew their saves, starting with the former. Calvin Fauché pitched scoreless 5-out save, his 9th save of the year. Edwin Diaz had a perfect 4-out save, his 21st of the year. Emmanuel Clase recorded his 23rd save with a perfect 9th. Brandon Bernardino recorded the final out of the 11th for his first save of the season. Aroldis Chapman pitched in that one. He blew his 2nd save, recording the final out of the 7th before serving up a game-tying solo shot in the 8th. The Red Sox, though, would go on to win that one in 11, as evidenced by Bernardino's save. Dan Altavilla recorded his 2nd save with a scoreless 9th. Grant Taylor pitched a scoreless 6th in that one, while the White Sox trailed by 2. Bit confusing. Lastly, Robert Garcia pitched a scoreless 9th for his 8th save. And in terms of closers to pitch outside of save situations or blow their saves, Raisel Iglesias pitched a perfect 9th down by 6. He hadn't pitched since Saturday, and the Braves are off today, so somewhat of a maintenance outing for Iglesias. Kevin Ginkel pitched the 9th inning in a tie game and surrendered the go-ahead run on 3 hits to take his 4th loss. Kirby Yates walked 3 while failing to record an out in the 8th before turning the ball over to Alex Vesia, who allowed 2 runners to score to blow his first save. However, the Dodgers would still hold on to win that one. And lastly, Orion Kerkering pitched a scoreless 8th down by 1. Then the Phillies tied it up and Matt Strahm pitched a perfect 9th in a tie game, but the Phillies would lose that one in 11. But if you'd like more information on relief pitchers, check out Rick Graham's weekly articles over on pitcherlist.com. And before we look forward to today's games, we're going to take a quick break. Now we'll look forward to Thursday, July 24th, a day in which we'll have just 5 games on the slate. My matchup of the day is Sonny Gray versus Yu Darvish, a couple of veterans. This should be a good watch. They both have great secondaries and pretty decent fastballs, but this could be a blow up if Gray does what he did. I think it was his last start or the start before that. But we could see some vintage Sonny Gray and Yu Darvish, and that would be an incredible pitching matchup. In terms of probable starters, we've got 1 guy in the auto starts tier, which is Sonny Gray. Our probably starts tier has 2 guys, and our questionable starts tier has 3, and that's where we'll find our streamer of the day in Ryan Gusto versus the A's. He's got the stuff to possibly find a lot of strikeouts versus the A's here. I'd also keep an eye out for Charlie Morton in Cleveland. His curveball has been cooking recently, and while he wasn't great last time out, I don't think he'll have too much of a problem in Cleveland, though. This is a questionable start. In terms of hitter suggestions, I look at Carlos Santana versus Charlie Morton in Progressive Field. Santana has batted .357 with 2 homers and a .1329 OPS in 14 at-bats against Morton. I'd also look at Javier Baez versus Eric Lauer in Comerica Park. Baez has batted .364 with a homer and an .1144 OPS in 11 at-bats against Lauer. I'd also look at Nolan Arenado versus Yu Darvish in Busch Stadium. Arenado has batted .391 with 3 homers and a .1200 OPS in 23 at-bats against Darvish. And lastly, I'd look at Yainer Diaz versus Luis Severino in Daikin Park. Diaz has batted .400 with 2 homers and a .1400 OPS in 10 at-bats against Severino. And now we'll close things out with our relievers to watch. We have just one. Emmanuel Clase has pitched on back-to-back days, so I'd expect Cade Smith to be the temporary closer for the Guardians on Thursday. But that'll do it for today's episode of the First Pitch Podcast. Make sure to head on over to pitcherlist.com to check out all of the great articles and features we have on the site. Sign up for PL Plus or PL Pro to gain access to the Discord and to support the Pitcher List staff. You can follow me on Twitter at Jake Crumpler. Tune in live on YouTube tomorrow and every day for a new installment of the podcast. Trevor Hooth will be with you tomorrow and throughout the weekend. And make sure to enjoy the day as we are blessed with another day of baseball.